Jean.
This is also Jean. So that's easy to remember. It's very unusual. It's not a common name. Welcome to the Hyde Hatchery. So at this hatchery, we take salmon, and the kinds of salmon we take are chum, which are bigger, so they look like this. And the other kinds of salmon that we take are coho, because that's what comes into the creek mostly. Okay? So the reason why we catch the salmon is because if you are a salmon, a female salmon, you lay up to 2,500 eggs, and your partner fertilizes them. So that's a big number, yeah? 2,500? How many salmon do you think come back into the creek when it's time for them to do the spawning?
Maybe 100.
Maybe 100?
Yes.
That's a good guess.
Half of the amount.
Half of the amount? Any other guesses? 2.
Only 2.
2.
From 3,000, only 2.
Yep. So one of the reasons why the hatchery exists is because when it's a hatchery fish and the salmon come back, instead of only 2 for the wild ones, 28 come back. So it increases the number, and it seems like a small number, but it's a fairly significant number. So I don't know where Jean went. Anyway.
She went to get photo releases.
Oh, okay. So salmon have a life cycle, just like people do. So they start as an egg, and that's what we're harvesting right now. So salmon come to the home creek from the ocean to lay their eggs. Now salmon, Pacific salmon, they only get one go round. They're an egg, then they're an alevin, then they're a fry. The fry go out to the estuary, they're smolts, they're adults in the ocean, and they come back to spawn, and then they die. So they never see their children. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's fairly unique. Now, they come back always to the creek where they were born. And scientists don't know yet why that happens. It could be something to do with the electromagnetic field of the earth. It has a lot to do with the smell that's in the creek. So they smell the creek. In here behind you, there's 10,000 salmon fry in that pond, but the creek water gets pumped in there, and one of the reasons is so they know the smell of their home creek. It needs gravel in the creek because the salmon dig in the gravel to make their nests, and it needs, salmon are a cold water fish, so in the creek, the fry live in the creek in the spring and the summer, so there needs to be overhangs and places where they can go to rest or to get out of the heat as well. Now this creek dries up in the summertime, so there's just little pools that the fry go in, and usually the people from the hatchery go and scoop as many of the little fish as they can to bring them here to keep them safe. So we're going to walk out this way. This is actually a pretty good coop for salmon because it's got lots of gravel and it's got waterfalls in it to help with the oxygenation of the water. And if you look, there's little pools like right here. And when they come up this little waterfall, they kind of hang out right around here.
Oh, salmon.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, here.
So the salmon have come from the ocean to the Fraser River, to the Alouette River, to the Didola Slough, and into this creek. So they've had a huge journey. When they get here, they don't eat anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, don't
and they're
eat.
not good for eating. They're not good.
Yeah.
I think those are chum. That see there?
Oh, chum.
Chum. So
Okay.
we've come this far. They're going to have a little rest because they actually go way up the hill, up the mountain. The chum not so much, but the coho goes high up the hill.
Oh.
So there should be two. There's the other one.
Yes, yes, there is too.
So at
There
the
are two.
mouth of the river, where the river and the ocean come together, the female and the male find each other, and then they come together up the creek. When they get here, the female takes her tail and the male helps, and they dig in the rocks
Yeah.
to make the nest.
Okay.
And that's called a red, R-E-D-D. Okay?
Yeah.
Like red,
Yeah, right.
but with two D's.
Yeah.
And the female lays her eggs in the nest, and the male swims over top, and he drops something called milt,
Milk.
which is fertilizer. M-I-L-T, milt.
Milk.
Milt, yeah. So those salmon have been together for a while. Now you'll notice in the pictures, maybe when I show you when we go back, the male salmon, their jaw sticks out, and when they're spawning, they grow teeth. Because if a male comes and he doesn't have a female, they will fight
Oh.
to see who can have the female.
Oh.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, let's walk up just, I think if we get way up to the end, we'll see many more fish.
Oh, I have a question.
Yes?
So in here,
Yes.
so sometimes we find two salmons
Yes.
in here.
Yes,
Oh.
the bear come here
Oh.
because the salmon die.
Oh, yeah.
And the bear are getting ready to hibernate. So it's an easy meal for them to come and eat the salmon. And the salmon has a lot of fat and protein, so the bear can sleep for the winter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, here, right here. That looks like a chum to me.
Yeah.
Chum, yeah. The chum are bigger than the coho. They live for about 5 years, and coho live for about 6 years. So the chum lay their eggs and die, and then their eggs hatch, and in May they go straight out to the ocean. The coho stay in the creek for 1 year, and they only do 1 year in the ocean, so they're bigger.
Oh.
Or not the coho are bigger, the chum are bigger. They spend more time.
Oh.
Go all the way up that hill. They cross under the road. There's the stream over there. The stream goes up the hill. The chum mostly stay down here. Fight their way up. And like I said, the coho go over there and up the hill. But let's see if we can see it in here. Oh, there. We can try over there too, maybe because the way the sun is shining, you can't really see.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But we can try going just over there and see if we can look down from there too. So
Oh,
about 20.
about 20, maybe more. Yeah.
More than 20.
Too many.
That
was just here. So it was just there. They go in the creek with the nets to take the salmon to bring them into the hatchery before they lay their eggs so that the eggs can be in the hatchery. So tomorrow they will go and get some more because they need a certain amount of eggs. The Department of Fisheries tells them how many eggs they're allowed to have.
Now is the time, no?
Yes. We use this mural to go around and talk about the different seasons and what's going on in the creek at that time. So we're just going to walk around and have a look. So this is a blue heron. Okay, and I've brought my class when I was a teacher for 30 years, and I would bring my class to release their little salmon here, and this guy, similar, would sit up in the tree.
Yes, yes.
And as soon as I would let them in, I mean, as soon as we would go away, I'm sure he was eating all the fry that we were releasing, right? That's why they have all the nets over the pond to keep the predators out, right?
Yes, yes.
So he'd be very happy to sit there all the time and eat up all the baby salmon, right?
Yeah.
So here, this is a chum, and you can see the teeth
Yeah.
because they sometimes have to fight. So this is also a chum, but she's a female because her teeth aren't as big. This is what a coho would look like. Again, the male get teeth and the female don't. So they come into the creek and they dig their hole to make their nest. Okay? And all along the creek, I mean not so much right now because there's a lot of people around, but the predators come because the salmon are very easy to catch right now. They're tired, they're gonna die anyway, so sometimes they just wait for them to be dead. But it's important that the dead salmon are in the creek too, because the little other fish, like these guys, they eat parts of the dead body. The bugs come, and they also eat the insects that come. So it's like everything is connected. There's a reason why all of this happens, yeah? So the chum come in the fall, and this is what a red would look like. Yeah. So their eggs go in the bottom. This guy, I think he's called a sculpin. If an egg or some eggs don't make it into the nest, he takes that opportunity to eat them.
Oh my god.
And there's trout too. But also, the eagles come and take the salmon, and the bears come. Okay, and it's very important, the salmon for the bears, because there's so much protein and so much goodness in the salmon for them so that they can sleep. Now, here is the female coho. She's laying her eggs in her red, and the male swims over top, and he releases the milk, and it goes onto the eggs. Okay? So come. So now the season has changed, and I don't know if you noticed, if you look at those eggs, there's something different here about these eggs. Can you see the difference?
They are already
See the little spots? Eyes. So these are called eyed eggs. Eyes are one of the first things you see. Okay? So this means that those eggs are alive too, because they develop eyes. The other thing that happens is this guy, he's got a yolk sac that comes from his tummy, and eggs and alevin they don't have to eat, and they can't really move. The eggs like it to be dark, and the alevin like it to be dark too, because all an alevin can do is wiggle. It can't swim yet.
Oh.
Okay? So this happens in about January.
Oh, January.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can see there's still a lot of predators around. This is a dipper, and this is a raven.
Oh.
And if they can find the little alevin or even find some eggs,
Oh.
they'll eat them. And that's one of the reasons why they're very sensitive. They don't like light, they need it to be cold, but they also have no way to protect themselves. So that's why a salmon lays so many eggs, because not very many come back because they're subject to predation, right? The predators are going to get them.
Yeah.
So here, there's more alevin, okay, but also predators still. So this is getting close to February, the alevin come, and in March and April, they're alevin mostly, and they are going to turn into fry by April. So now it's spring, and you can see they're fry. Okay?
Fry.
Yeah. So fry have changed a lot, because when you're an alevin or an egg, you don't need to find food. But now you're a fry, you need to find food. So you are going to be looking for insects, smaller fish, and you're going to be hanging out in these pools, and they kind of hang around with more than one, because one by itself is easy to pick off, but if there's a big number of them, they're not so much. Now a fry does something very special one time only in its life. When it does not have the egg sac anymore, a fry swims up, opens its mouth, and takes one breath of air to inflate its swim bladder. Because remember, an egg doesn't move, an alevin only wiggles, but a fry can swim now. Okay? So inside it has the swim bladder that needs to be inflated. So that's why it takes the one breath of air to inflate the bladder so it can swim. You see, they hang out in groups. There's a blue jay and a beaver. They're not predators to the fry, but there's other things that are. Not this guy either. They're too small for him. They get these stripes on them as camouflage to help. So when you're looking down, you don't see. So these are coho fry as well. You can see they're in a group. And here is, this is a predator. This is a trout. Trout.
Oh.
Yeah. Freshwater fish.
Oh, okay.
And he'll eat eggs. He'll eat the small fry. He'll eat whatever he can catch. So they actually, this year, when the first couple of salmon came up the creek, a bunch of these guys came up the creek too. They hadn't seen them all summer, and because the salmon were back in the creek, they followed them up because of the opportunities to eat. Yeah. So you see, there's all kinds of wildlife around this creek too. Does anybody have any questions about this?
We already did in a classroom.
Oh, you did it in the classroom. Okay. Well, thank you for being so patient with me then.
Oh,
Yeah,
Thank you, thank you.
Okay.
Did you need to clean the creek? Clean the died fish?
The volunteers go
Yeah.
all year round up and down the creek and
Oh.
pick out garbage.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, we can't do anything about spills.
Yeah.
I think there's one boom, but if there's like bottles and cans and garbage, they go and they pick up the garbage. The volunteers do. Okay, let's see. There's about 2,500 eggs, so you can see it's quite a bit. Yeah. Okay, this real. This is real.
Oh, this is real.
Have a look at these. These are the stages here.
Already have a milk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, have two eyes. Thank you.
This is real?
Yes, they were not now. They're dead.
Or dead?
Yes, and preserved, so you can see the egg sac on the tummies.
Oh.
Yeah, take a picture.
Oh yeah.
It is 11. There is 11.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. Okay.
See, this is with the yolk sac
Right.
on it.
Hyde.
Yeah.
Eleven.
See, 11. Yeah, I say 11. 11. Okay. And these are the eyed eggs. Yes. Yeah. And then they become fried. Yeah. And young salmon, like this is when they go to the ocean. Okay? And they live their life in the ocean as an adult. And then they come back as a spawner. Yes, come back to their home creek. So in the ocean, this, and you can see how much they change. When they come back into the fresh water, it changes their bodies. So in here, we cannot touch anything. But in these tanks, in the tray are the eggs. And the water is hooked up from the creek. So it's washing over the eggs to keep them moist, because if they dry out, they die. But it also is from the creek so that they know the smell of the creek. So the eggs that have been harvested so far are in here and the water is washing over. Okay, I'll show you. Give me a tray here. This one was captured last week. They slit her belly and they take the eggs out and put them in the tray. There's the tray.
It was dead?
No, we catch them and they're alive, but they're going to die anyway. Yeah. So if you look, the white eggs represent eggs that will not be fertilized. So even when she lays her eggs, right away there are some that are not going to be born. Yeah.
But the eggs not melt.
The eggs, they take the eggs out.
Yeah.
They also harvest a male.
Yeah.
And they put the milt over top in the tray.
Oh.
So in these tanks right now,
Yeah.
remember I showed you the picture with the nets, they're catching the fish. So we will take that off, and you can climb up and look. There's fish in here, and they haven't taken the eggs yet. But they will come, and they will catch the fish out of the tank and take the eggs out and put them in a tray.
This is male.
There's coho in here.
Coho. Yeah, and the male.
and
Male.
female.
Oh, and male and female. Oh, okay.
Can you see them?
Yeah, how to male?
How do they get the milk?
Yeah. I don't know.
They have a little. So if you guys hold it all open this side, and maybe the light will come in. So they harvest the salmon in the creek, and the salmon might not be ready yet to lay their eggs. So they keep them in the brood tanks. These are called brood tanks. And they wait for the female to be ripe. And when she's ripe, they do this, and then they take the milk from the male and put it on the eggs. And then the tray goes in that room. Okay, and then the water washes over them. Okay. So they wait until they're 11, and when they're close to being fried, they bring them here. These are called capilano tanks, and they put the fry in here. And this is also water from the creek. So as much as possible, always creek water.
They have to recognize the smell
Yes,
of the water.
yes. But actually this year, there was a pair of pink salmon that came, and there haven't been pinks in this stream for 50 years. But somehow their GPS got wrong, and they came up this creek too. It's very unusual to happen, but it does happen. So the salmon, they keep them, like I said, and then they keep them until they come to be fried, and then the chum they let go right away, and the coho they put in the pond. So let's go have a look at the pond, and then we can come back in here, okay? The chum goes to the ocean right away, but the coho stay in the creek for 1 year. So in this pond right now, there's approximately 10,000 coho fry. Okay, and they'll be released next year. But watch, go right up to the net. Go right up. Yeah. I'm only going to give them half. But watch. What's going to happen? Oops, that was rough. Yeah. So, maybe they're not hungry. Oh, here they come. Oh, nope. Not so hungry today. They just got fed before, so I didn't know. Usually they come and they, there. Oh, here. Whoa. So you can see how hungry they are.
They came to eat.
So
10,000 fry.
approximately, yes.
How long time they keep it here?
For 1 year, they collect
year.
them, and then
And
next
they
year
became
they're
bigger.
little and they'll get big, and then they let them go in the creek and they swim out to the ocean.
Oh, after 1 year they
Yes.
put it in
The
a...
coho stay in the creek for 1 year. The chum go right away in May, and that's why the chum.
And how do you know which is croco, which is...
They actually catch as many of them as they can, and they clip. They do a little clip on their dorsal fin, so they know it's a hatchery fish. So they know that it came from the hatchery.
How was 3 meters for on the neck? Of the fish?
On the fin.
A fin.
On the
On the
fin.
fin.
Yeah, you know, just a little clip
Oh, okay.
so that
Oh.
they can tell that it's a hatchery fish.
Oh, they come back
Yes,
here.
when they come back, they know that it came from the hatchery because it's got a little clip in its fin, like a little V cut out.
Yeah.
So they are released on that side, or they are catch with some legs.
That's a good question. There's kind of a stream out here, and I don't know if they can flood it and let them go, but I know that the other Jean said that sometimes some of the coho come into that ditch and they want to lay their eggs here because they know this smell because of the concrete in the bottom. So that some of them try to get back into here before they lay their eggs. But I'm not sure how they do it. They might just catch them in buckets, because that's how I would bring them back to here. Because we had the eggs and the A11 and the fry in my classroom in a tank, and then we would catch them when they were fry, put them in buckets, and bring them to the creek to let them go. But the first year I did it, I didn't know that there wasn't enough oxygen in the water, and five died. So the next year, I would have the kids sit with a bucket on their lap with a straw, and they blew bubbles into the water because when you exhale, there's still a lot of oxygen in your exhalation, and so that water would stay oxygenated, and then none died. So that was
So
good.
that's why they put
The pump, yes. Yeah.
that is oxygen.
Yes. Remember I said only 2 salmon make it back? Okay. So this is the winner right here. Spawner gets to lay eggs. So each of you is going to get a turn, or maybe we'll do 2 turns, to spin the wheel.
How far they get? No.
Yes. Oh. Egg in the side channel provides spawning. So at least I didn't die. Okay? Because all of them is like adult salmon killed by a whale, smolt eaten by a seal, fry eaten by a trout. So this is all the ways that salmon can die and not make it back to the creek. What you want is this one. So who wants to go first? Okay. Adult salmon finds the way to make it back to the home creek. So you survive. So the ones that live go here, the ones that die go over here. Okay, help yourself. Yeah, any way you want.
Oh, Evelyn.
A11 escapes from hungry trout, so you win. Okay? Right, eaten by a kingfisher. So okay. Egg killed in paint from storm drain. A11, wetland protected from development. Oh, okay. You win.
Like here.
Smolt eaten by a heron.
Oh.
Yep. Fry poisoned by industrial pollution. Yes. So that's a good one to show you this. So I have a personal connection to this picture because the day before this happened, My class came and we brought our fry to let go in the creek. And the next day, there is a paint spill.
Paint?
Paint. Somebody
Sink.
dropped paint
Oh.
into the creek.
Paint.
Okay? And,
Died.
oh, yes.
Oh.
My class was grade 2s, little boys and girls. They were crying. They were so upset. They wrote letters to the newspaper. But 800 killed.
Oh.
Somebody in a different time decided to empty the pool into the storm drain, but there's chlorine in the water. Also a big fish kill.
Everything.
Yes. So, when you walk around in your neighborhood, you might see this, and this is to remind you, no oil, no chemicals, no cleaners, because all the water that comes into the storm drain goes into the creek, and in the creek there are living things, and it kills them. Yeah. So, do you have any questions for me? Because that's kind of the end.
We saw that we make food for fry.
Oh, what is it?
How you prepare the food?
They buy big bags of fish food. So it's made out of, I don't see a bag, there's usually a bag around somewhere. But big bags, and it's got dried, you know when they make dried cat food? They make dried fish food.
Oh.
Okay, so it's like the cat food, but for fish. So they come in great big bags. Any other questions? No?
Excuse me, the fish, when I want to go to the sea, how to go to the sea? You by your
They let,
by people or
no, they
by
just
themselves?
put them in the creek,
yeah?
and then they swim.
Oh, by themselves.
They know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When the
When
spring,
next spring,
Yes.
yes, you put the fish back.
Yes. Those fry will go out into the creek, and the new fry will be. Those ones will swim right away to go to the ocean because they're ready, and the fry in the creek they will catch and put into the pond.
Oh.
Well, actually, they'll probably just take the eggs, put them in the big containers, and then scoop them into the pond after they release those ones. So this is my first year. You guys are about my 4th tour that I've done. How was it okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Temperature
good.
of water.
Every once a month, because if they feed them too much, they get too big.
Oh.
If they don't feed them enough, they're too small. So they take them out, they take a group, they don't take all of them,
Yeah.
and they weigh them, and then she does all these calculations to make sure that they're the right size.
Yeah, the portion have
Yes,
to be
adjusted,
exactly, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.